All right, that particular stock slightly under pressure in trade after the results and has picked up a little bit on the management commentary. Well, South Africa is considering imposing import tariffs of up to 50% on vehicles imported from India as well as China. How will this really impact the Indian automakers? Puneet is here to get us all the details. Tell us, Puneet, auto is one space which is seeing quite a bit of movement when it comes to the global trade. Tell us the impact of this particular event.
Well, it's going to be a huge impact on the exports of a lot of Indian automakers. It's a growth story that hasn't yet picked up yet and has already started to see thorns in terms of the growth development. Now, there is a tax and a higher import duty essentially being considered by South Africa on both India and China. And now the current duty is roughly 25%. It's looking to double to 50% in terms of import duty. So all vehicles manufactured in India going into South Africa will now attract a higher tariffs. That's what's being considered. But it's also important to understand why is that the case, because almost 53% of all cars imported into South Africa come from China, 22% coming from India, and it's a heavy reliance that they have on these two countries, which has been impacting the domestic auto industry in South Africa, and hence this particular move. What's also important is that in the last 4 years, there's always been a 368% increase in imports from China itself and almost 135% increase from India, and hence the industry there, the local industry has gotten impacted massively because of these cheaper imports in that sense, and better cars of course, but that is where the impact is for South Africa. The other key aspect that, lower price imports, essentially, the smaller cars have actually been impacting the domestic industry there in South Africa. So smaller cars from India have been taking a lot of share in that industry. But finally, what does it mean for individual players? The biggest impact could be on someone like Maruti Suzuki. Almost 30% of their exports go into South Africa, which is a big market for them, especially for the small car sector. And it's important to note that they have a target of almost 4 lakh vehicles in this particular year. 30% of that number is quite huge. So you could, and hence you're seeing that's impact and pressure on the stock over the last week or so, and probably this could be the reason why.
Right.
The other aspect is also that it's almost 3% of revenues for Hyundai as well, and Mahindra is also another player. So these are the few players who could get impacted, but Maruti definitely being one of them.